Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Johnny TCG video. I'm Johnny TCG. I'm excited to see you here today, and today we're beginning our OP13 videos. This is a really exciting meta, a lot of cool decks, a lot of cool leaders, a lot of ways to build old decks, a lot of ways to build new decks. While Red, Blue, Ace, and Emu are getting all of the attention, I wanted to start out taking a look at a different leader from OP13, Yellow Jewelry Bonney. She hasn't been meta relevant really since being introduced. Of course, that's Red, Blue, Ace, that's Emu, that is Green Zoro from OP12 still, but I do think she's got a cool leader ability. I think she's got a lot of cool support cards, and I thought we could maybe cook up something with her, and to my surprise, she's actually pretty strong, much stronger than I expected, to be honest. Today, we're going to do a deep deck profile, taking a look at all the cards in this list, then we're going to do a custom Don giveaway. You're going to want to check that out. Then we're going to take this deck to the sim, see how it does, and talk about it afterwards. If you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button down below. Editor, start the deck profile. Jewelry Bonney is a 5 life, 5000 power mono yellow leader. She has the typing Egghead and Bonney Pirates. Her ability is once per turn during your turn. This effect can be activated when you play a character with trigger. Then you get to give up to 2 rested Don cards to either your leader or one of your characters. To make sure this ability hits as much as possible, almost every single card in this deck is a trigger card, which is pretty awesome. I love lottery trigger decks where you always are just getting something out of life. It makes the game a lot easier, folks. I'm really surprised by how much fun I've been having with her and the fact that she's actually decently strong. So let's start taking a look at the cards in the list. First off, we have Lilith, OP13 Searcher, 1 cost, 2000 power, 1k of counter. She has the ability of looking at the top 4 cards of your deck for a card with trigger other than Lilith and add it to your hand. She then has the trigger herself of activating this card's on play effect. Not a lot to say about that, folks. Just a great, pretty generic searcher. Next up, I'm running 2 Onamis, 2 cost, 3000 power, 1k of counter. She has the on play of give up to one of your leaders or characters banish. It's basically a Don neutral way to give one of your characters or your leader banish. She also has the trigger of being able to KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less, which is insane. She's definitely not super relevant in a lot of matchups, but there are times where I think it's pretty handy to be able to turn one of my swings into a banish swing. Next up, I'm running 4 copies of the OP07 Lilith Searcher, 3 cost, 5000 power, with the on play of looking at the top 5 cards of your deck for an Egghead type card other than Lilith and then add it to your hand. She also has the trigger of if your leader is Vegapunk, play this card. Unfortunately, we can't take advantage of that trigger, but I do think she's still worthy of inclusion in this deck just because we have a lot of Egghead type cards and she's a great 3 Don play. If you have 3 Don, playing this down, drawing a card, and then swinging 7000 with your leader, that's a great time, folks. I'm running 4 copies of Edison, 3 cost, 2000 power, 2k counter. He's mainly used as a 2k counter that is searchable, but he also has the activate main ability. You may trash this character. Then if you have less life cards than your opponent, you may draw 1 card, then rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less. That's not an amazing ability. In a pinch, it could be good, hypothetically, but I never played this out. It's mainly just a searchable 2k, searchable off both of your Lilith Searchers. Edison also has a trigger of drawing 1 card, then rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less. That's pretty solid. Next up, we have good old Kikanojo, 4 cost, 6000 power, no counter, with the on KO of if your opponent's life is at 3 or less, place the top card of your deck at the top of your life face down. That is absolutely amazing, folks. There are so many times where this ability comes in the clutch. Then, of course, there's a trigger of if your opponent is at 3 or less life, you may play this card. Now, I really have been trying to put as many trigger play bodies in this deck as possible, just because I think it's really fun and also really strong. Next up, we have Frankie, another 2k counter, 4 cost, 5000 power. He's a vanilla body with the trigger of draw 1 card. Then if you have 1 or less life, you may play this card out. That's a really good trigger, folks. He's mostly going to be used as a searchable 2k, but there have been times I've played him out just to get another body on the field. In OP13, we get another S-Snake card, and I think this one is pretty rad. 4 cost, 5000 power, 1k of counter. She has the on play / when attacking ability of you may turn 1 card from the top of your life face up, then give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2000 power for the turn. That is really cool, really fun. A great way to maybe nerf a Dracula Mihawk blocker playing against a Green Zoro, turning it to a 6000 power blocker makes a huge difference. She also has the trigger of you may trash 1 card from your hand, play this card. Since I really like this card, I am considering bumping it up to maybe 3. The fact that she's only a 1k counter is a little bit of a bummer, but I do think she's worth it in this deck because she's really helpful in certain matchups. Next up we have Satori from OP05, 5 cost, 5000 power, 2k counter with the trigger of you may trash one card from your hand, then play this card. This is like the Kikunojo where I'm just trying to trigger out bodies to make life difficult for our opponent. The fact that he's a 2k counter is also great. We need 2k counters for this deck, so I think he's a great choice. Next up I have 3 copies of the OP08 Nami, 5 cost, 5000 power, 1k of counter. She has the on play ability of you may trash one card with trigger from your hand, then you may KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. Then if you have 3 cards or less in your hand, you may draw 1 card. She also has the trigger ability to activate this card's main effect. Overall, just a pretty solid card. I like her at 3 right now. That's all I gotta say about that one, not a lot. Next up I have 2 copies of the OP08 S-Snake, 5 cost, 6000 power with the on play ability of up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less that are not named Monkey D. Luffy cannot attack next turn, which is great. That's really strong, especially on curve. It feels very nice. She also has a trigger of activate this card's on play effect. This is a really good way early game to slow down your opponent. I'm only running her at 2, but again, like a lot of other cards in this deck list, I could see myself bumping this up to 3. I'm running 2 copies of the 5 cost, 6000 power Jewelry Bonney from OP13. Now this is a card that might be cut depending on the meta. She has the ability of if this character would be removed from the field by one of your opponent's effects, you may instead turn 1 card from the top of your life face up. That's pretty solid, folks. The only question is removal going to be relevant in the OP13 meta for the West? If it is, then this card is going to be really strong and maybe you want to bump it up to 3. If it's not, then you might want to take it out. I mean, the S-Snake we have here is also a 5/6 body that has a better on-play effect or has an on-play effect at all. And so if there's not a lot of removal in the meta, maybe you go up with S-Snakes, this S-Snake, and maybe this S-Snake as well and cut out the Jewelry Bonnies. But for now, I'm testing her and I'll let you know if I decide to keep her in the deck. She also has the trigger of draw 2, trash 1 from your hand. Next up, we have one of my favorite cards in the deck, a new Boa Hancock card from PRBO2, 5 cost, 7000 power. On play, you may trash 1 card with trigger from your hand, then up to one of your opponent's rested leader or characters not named Monkey D. Luffy cannot attack during their next turn. This is great anti-Zoro tech. Wow, I love this card. This is great anti-green Zoro tech. I really like this card in the green Zoro matchup. She also has the trigger of KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. 5/7 is a really strong stat line, and I think this is one of the best cards in this deck. Next up, I'm running 2 copies of Nico Robin, 6 cost, 6000 power with 1k of counter. She has the ability of on play, if your opponent has 3 or more life, you may trash the top card of their life. This card is definitely on the chopping block for this deck, I must admit. Now, the reason for that is I'm usually not playing her till turn 3 or 4, and by that time, sometimes our opponent is already down to 2 life cards, believe it or not. Or if maybe I'm at 7 down, I'd rather play the Stussy I'll talk about next than the 6 cost 6000 power Robin. I'm definitely not saying she's bad, but sometimes late in the game she's basically just going to be a counter card because her effect is no longer relevant. She also has the trigger of play up to 1 cost 3 or less yellow character from your hand, which could be crazy, honestly. You could cheat out a Lilith or a other Lilith, even Edison. Those are some unique circumstances where that trigger would work, but overall, I definitely think there might be a better card in this slot for her. Next up, we have OP13 Stussy, 7 cost, 7000 power. I am really liking this card. She's a blocker, which is great, and then she has the on play of if your leader has the egghead type, you may play up to 1 character with a cost of 5 or less and trigger from your hand. We have so many great options depending on the situation with this deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, even 9 great targets with this card. It's absolutely ridiculous. Then of course, when you're playing it on curve with your leader ability, you're going to be able to give your leader 2 rested down cards as well. So my favorite thing to do with this Stussy, play her down, cheat out a Boa as well, a 5/7 body, 2 7000 power bodies in 1 turn, then swing 7000 with our leader. It's a great feeling, folks. Should maybe bump this up to 4 just because it's so important and great to see on your 7 down turn. Next up, I'm running 4 copies of the new 9 cost Jewelry Bonney. 9 cost, 10,000 power. Wow, this card is crazy. On play, if your leader has the egghead type, you may give this card rush. Then if your opponent On play, if your opponent has the Egghead type, give this card Rush, then your opponent adds the top card of their life to their hand. This is a great way to go for game at the end of the game when your opponent's only at 1 life. Then trigger, if you have 1 or less life cards, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 7 or less, which can be absolutely crazy, especially late in the game when they probably have a blocker, or this is kind of like a mini beige where maybe they were about to kill you, but you were able to rest one of their characters. Pretty solid, pretty great, honestly. This is one of my favorite cards to play just because it feels so good to make them automatically take the top card of their life, then play a 9/10 body with Rush, and then of course I'm giving 2 Dawn to my leader to swing for 7,000 as well. Then last but not least, I am running 2 copies of Flame Split, aka Blaze Slice, a 1-cost activate main and counter event where you're able to give up to one of your leader or characters plus 1,000 power for the turn. Then if your opponent has 2 life cards or less, you get to rest one of their characters with a cost of 4 or less. This is a great way to rest a low cost blocker at the end of the game. I'm looking at you, Marco, and then just swing at your opponent's life. Here are some other cards that I think would work pretty well in a yellow Bonney deck list. I haven't tried them all out, but with testing, with time, with seeing how the meta develops, some of these might make it into another version of this deck list for me, because some of these are pretty strong and I do think would actually work pretty well in a Bonney list, so might as well give them a try yourself. But that's the deck list I got for you, folks. What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. I really think this leader is going to be stronger than people realize just because Ace and Emu got all of the attention over in the East. Now, I don't think she's necessarily better than those 2 decks. You might be able to win, but I definitely don't think she's going to be consistently better than those decks. But at the same time, if you're not looking to play the tier 1 or tier 0 deck in a format, Jewelry Bonney Yellow is going to be a great choice for you. Of course, I have a giveaway for you. If you're new to the channel, we do giveaways in just about every single video. Today, I'm going to do something a little different and do a custom Yu-Gi-Oh! Dawn card. That's right, this is a One Piece card game channel, but I've got a Yu-Gi-Oh! Dawn card for you. Throw it up on screen editor, boom. It uses official Yu-Gi-Oh! Art. I am not the artist. I'm not selling this. This is just a fun personal fan project of mine. All you have to do to enter the giveaway is 1, leave a like, and 2, leave a comment. It's as simple as that, folks. Then if this video gets 25 likes in the first 24 hours, I will randomly choose a US-based commenter, send it to you completely free. That's all you gotta do, folks. 1, leave a like, and 2, leave a comment. It's as simple as that. And if you like the content, if you want to stay up to date with uploads, consider hitting that subscribe button down below. It's free, it's easy, it's painless. Hit that subscribe button, everybody. Why aren't you subscribed by now? Alright, with that being said, let's roll the gameplay. Our first matchup of the day is going to be against a Green Zoro. Green Zoro is going to be one of our tougher matchups in OP13, I presume, just because they have a lot of ways to rest our 5-drop characters, and our deck loves to play 5-drop characters, so that makes things kind of awkward. They don't have a turn 1 play, they pass it to us off of our Lilith Searcher. We'll take the 5-cost Jewelry Bonney from OP13 and add it to our hand. Now it's not really going to be that great of a card in this matchup, but we can only take that or Blaze Slice, so we go with the card that has immediate counter and we could hypothetically play it out as a character. 3 Dawn for them, they're going to swing 6,000 at us. We do get the Boa Hancock PRBO2 trigger, but nothing to use it on. They'll play down the Koshiro and pass it back to us. For 4 Dawn, we're going to play the Kikunojo and then swing 7,000 using our leader ability. Man, I love this leader ability. Just to be able to swing 7,000 almost every single turn is always a great time. They're going to take that 7,000 power swing and then I'll pass it back to them. Unfortunately, they do have that 5-cost Tashigi to rest our Kikunojo. I am going to try to keep this Kikunojo alive. Feels bad getting rid of so much counter for my hand, but I really need to keep a board present so that I can pressure their life as well. Then we'll take their swing and get the Satori trigger. Now we did have to trash a card to play Satori out, and we really did go down a lot of cards in hand size that turn, which isn't ideal, but now we've established 2 viable bodies on board, which is cool. We're going to start off by swinging 5,000 with Satori. I really want to get them to 3 life so that Kikunojo's ability of healing us when she is KO'd is active. They'll counter out of that Satori swing. Then this turn we have 6 Dawn to work with. I'm thinking we play down our 5-cost Boa. Before we do that, we'll swing 7,000 with our Kikunojo into their life. They will take that. Good news that they're now down to 3. We're going to play down the 5-cost Boa from PRBO2. We're going to use her ability trashing. I'm thinking a Blaze Slice with S-Snake. Or we'll get rid of the Bonney just because she doesn't have a lot of value in this matchup. To use her ability and prevent their leader from attacking next turn, which is great in this matchup. Then we're going to swing 7,000 with our leader, which they'll take again. We're in a pretty good spot here, folks. They're going to start off with a 7,000 power swing into Satori with Tashigi. We're going to let that one go through, so we lose to Shigi. Then they're going to go Perona into Trafalgar Law. The new OP13 Trafalgar Law is so good. They bounce back the Perona to their hand to cheat out a Cavendish. That's huge for them, folks. And then they have another Koshiro to play. This is pretty awkward. I'm thinking the S-Snake here is going to be our best bet, preventing Cavendish from attacking next turn. That's going to be good news for us because Cavendish, of course, restands Don on the swing. We're going to give a couple Don to our Lilith Searcher using leader ability and then swing 5,000 into life. I'm thinking here the best idea for us is just to poke at their life, not really try to clear their board, just because I imagine they'll be able to counter out of those swings easier. And then, of course, they do have the blockers anyway. They're going to counter out of that 7 or 6,000 power Kikunojo swing. Now I'm going to swing 7,000 with Boa into their life. They will take that, go down to 1. Now the Law card is a blocker. Got to keep that in mind. I'll swing 7,000 again with our leader, and they'll block with one of their Koshiros, passing it back to them. 9 Don for them to work with. Last turn would have been epic if we had the Stussy to cheat out the S-Snake with. That would have been great to establish another body. We don't have a lot of cards or counter in hand, so we will have to sacrifice our board if it comes down to it. We are going to get the Boa Hancock trigger off of the Tashigi swing into our life. With that, we're able to pop the Koshiro, which is huge for us. They still have that Law blocker, of course, but getting rid of that annoying blocker might help us win the game. Off the Perona search, they're going to find a Kuina from OP12. Nothing too crazy there. They do have another OP13 Trafalgar Law, which is bad news for us. They're going to be able to swing 8,000 now into our S-Snake because they cheated out Tashigi with the Law. We let the S-Snake go. We have to. Now they're going to restand their leader. They're going to be able to swing big into our life. We take that and we get the Jewelry Bonney 9-drop from OP13. We could play this potentially next turn, but we will use the trigger to rest one of their Law blockers. And I think this is what we got to do. We just have to go for game. I don't think we'd be able to survive on the crackback, so we might as well just go all in here. They've got 5 cards in hand, a Don up, a blocker, and 1 life card left. I'm not feeling too confident about this attempt, but we don't really have much of a choice. We have to go for it here. I'm going to start out by playing the Onami to give our 5-cost Boa Banish, and then use leader ability to give her 2 Don. I'll give her another Don, swinging really big with this Banish so that they are forced to use their blocker or let that life card be banished. They don't want that life card to be banished, so they will block with Law. Now we've got a couple of swings to divvy up. We're going to do a 9,000 Kikunojo swing into their life. They take that. I feel like they're just baiting me to go all in. We're going to swing 9,000 with our leader, and they have the counter to survive. 1 card left in hand. We are just going to concede, or I guess I won't concede just yet. Who knows what I get off the trigger, but there is no way I win here, folks. 7,000 into our life. We take that. No trigger. I'll hit him with the GGs, and this will be the end of it for me. Green Zoro, a tough matchup, but we almost got lucky there. Great game to my opponent, though. That was a tough match for them as well because we got a lot of lucky triggers, and it was an interesting matchup for sure. Now we've got a matchup against Green Jewelry Bonney, a leader who is no longer tier 1 in OP13, it doesn't seem like, but is still definitely pretty strong. We're going to be on the odd curve. We'll start out with a Lilith search and find the 5-cost Boa Hancock. We'll give a Don to our leader just to be a little silly, but of course that attached Don doesn't do anything right now. They are going to play down the Jewelry Bonney Searcher on their first turn and do a search with it. Sometimes a Bonney will do a search with Jewelry Bonney on turn 1. Other times they will leave it standing up so they can leave a Don for their leader ability. They are going to find another starter deck 2 Jewelry Bonney off their Bonney search. Oh my god, how many times have I said Bonney in the last 30 seconds? We don't have any great 3-down plays, really. We're just going to swing 2,000 or 3,000 into their Jewelry Bonney Searcher, which they'll let go, and then we'll swing 7,000 into their life. Next turn, we'll be in a really good spot, though. We can drop the 5-cost Boa if we want to. They're going to clear our Lidless Searcher with their leader. Then they're going to play down the Jewelry Bonney Searcher, do another search, and they draw a OP12 Jewelry Bonney blocker. Then they'll play out the Koshiro and pass it back to us. 7 Don for us to work with here, and it's going to be a 7 cost Stussy play. Off of Stussy, we're going to play down the Kikinojo, give 2 Don to our leader, then I'm going to swing 7,000 with our leader into their life. They'll use leader ability to rest Boa Hancock and then take the hit. I'll pass it to them. 8 Don for them to work with. They're going to start off with a Cavendish play, restanding 2 Don. Now they have 5 Don available. We know they have that 5 cost Bonney blocker in their hand, so maybe that comes down here. Or they're just going to give all that Don to their leader and they're going to swing really big into our Boa. Now we could counter out of this, and I'm thinking we do, just so that we continue to have board pressure. We're going to counter out of that with 2 2Ks, and then they're going to pass it to us. Here, maybe I should have played down the 6 cost Nico Robin instead of swinging right away, because now I won't be able to play her and get their ability if they take this 7,000 power swing. For Nico Robin's ability, your opponent has to be at 3 life or more, so playing her down now will not get her effect, which is a bummer. They're going to take that swing, rest our Stussy. Now I'm going to swing 6,000 with Kikinojo, which they will counter out of. We'll establish the 9 cost Jewelry Bonney, which is a great card. That's going to force them to take the top card of their life. It gains rush, and then we get to give 2 Don to our leader. So now we're going to swing 7,000, which they'll block Koshiro, and then we'll swing 10,000. They will take and go down to 0. Going down to 0 is definitely risky, but knowing Green Bonney, they have a ton of blockers in their hand, and they are about to wall up. If they have an 8 cost Useless Captain Kid, that could be pretty awkward, because our deck, as it's built right now, doesn't have a great answer to the 8 cost Kid, so hopefully they don't have it. They won't have the Kid, but they might have the next best thing, which is the 8 cost Mihawk. Off of 8 cost Mihawk, they're able to restand 4 Don. We'll probably drop another blocker here too, just because 2 I don't think would be enough, but they have a ton of cards in hand, so it'll be interesting to see. Now they're going to swing 8 or 9,000 with Cavendish into our Stussy blocker. They're able to restand 2 Don. I can counter out of this, and I think it might be the move for me to do. If they want to throw a bunch of Don on their leader and swing again, hey, that's fine with me, just because that means they're not establishing another body. They won't do that though. They'll finally play down that OP12 Jewelry Bonney. They're going to trash a card from their hand, swing 6,000 into Kikinojo, which we can't defend, but I'm happy to let her go just because it heals us a life. I'm going to start my turn by playing a Lilith Searcher, just to find another card to grab, give us some more options, and then of course establishing a body, because we probably won't be able to finish them off this turn. We're going to take the S-Snake from OP07. This is going to prevent their Cavendish from attacking next turn, which is going to be really valuable. We're going to do a 10,000 power swing with our 9 cost Jewelry Bonney from OP13 first, because of course they're going to be able to rest one of our characters. They're going to rest our Stussy blocker. 10,000 into 5,000. Will they counter out of this, or will they just block? They have 3 blockers right now. Hopefully we can get at least 1 off the board. I imagine we will, but we'll see. They are actually going to block with Dracula Mihawk and then counter to keep that Dracula Mihawk alive. It's tempting to throw a bunch of Don on maybe my 5 cost Boa or my leader and swing into that Mihawk, but because they have the Bonney blocker and their Rouge blocker, there's no way that Mihawk blocker is going to die. I'm just going to swing 7,000 into their life with Boa right now. They're going to give us a 2K. Getting 2 2Ks out of hand is a good sign. I'll give my leader a couple more Don cards and swing 9,000 into their life. They'll block with the Jewelry Bonney. Then we're going to play down the S-Snake from OP7 that prevents Cavendish from attacking next turn, and then we'll pass it to them. We're in a decent spot, but we're not in the clear yet, even though we have 5 life and they have 0. Jewelry Bonney is so good late game, and we are running dangerously low on cards in hand, and that could put us in a vulnerable position. A 10-drop Doflamingo would be amazing for them right now to lock down 3 of our characters. They're going to start off by giving 1 Don to Dracula Mihawk and swing 9,000 into our Stussy. The fact that they're swinging with Mihawk tells me that they're either going to play more blockers this turn, or they have the 8 cost Useless Captain Kid, which I am very afraid of, as I mentioned earlier. 9,000 into 7,000, I have to let it go. I do not have the counter for that. 9 Don still left up. They are going to have another 8 cost Mihawk restanding 4 Don. This gives them 2 blockers on the field with 5 Don up. If they have another 5 cost Jewelry Bonney blocker, that would be crazy. They don't though. They're just going to play down the 5-cost carrot to freeze our 5-cost boa. They're not going to swing with their leader because they don't want us to get a trigger, presumably. It would be dangerous for them to swing into us, so I understand why they did that. I'm going to start my turn by just swinging 10,000 with our 9-cost Jewelry Bonney. Using leader ability, they are going to rest, presumably our S-Snake, and then I imagine they'll block with the Rouge. They're running out of cards in hand, which is a good sign for us. After that, we are going to play down a Lilith Searcher, and I think in this situation, taking a 2k is probably our best bet. We can then use leader ability to give our leader 2 Rested Dawn cards. I'm thinking here we play down a 4-cost S-Snake to give minus 2,000 power to the Dracula Mihawk blocker, meaning that they won't be able to just free block with it. They'll have to give us cards from hand if they want to block with it and keep it alive. 7,000 with our other Lilith into their life now. 5 cards in hand. We are in such a good spot now, folks. It's not over quite yet, but I think we are likely going to finish this one out. They're going to block this with the Dracula Mihawk and let it go, which really surprises me. They just must not have a lot of counter in hand. I'm going to swing 8,000 now with my leader, and they will be able to counter out of that. But now they're down to 4 cards in hand. 10 Dawn, a 10-cost Dofi would be pretty devastating here. That's one thing. Sometimes I feel like this deck can stall out a little bit, but we'll see. They're going to start off with a 5,000 power swing into our Rested Lilith. I'll let that go. For 8 Dawn, they're going to play down another Dracula Mihawk. This is absolutely crazy. They get to restand 4 Dawn with him. They'll be able to restand another 2 Dawn when they swing with their Cavendish as well. They're going to go 7,000 into our boa with the Cavendish, and I'm just going to let that go because they'd freeze that boa with their carrot when they swing with her anyway, so it doesn't really make any sense for me to protect that boa unless I really think that later on she will be a viable swing, but I don't think that's going to be the case. They still have 7 Dawn to work with and a carrot swing and possibly a 8-cost Mihawk swing. I would be surprised if they swing that 8-cost Mihawk though, just because they're going to need the blockers for this next turn. For 1 Dawn, they're going to play down the Jewelry Bonney Searcher. Off the Jewelry Bonney Searcher, they'll find a Rouge, the blocker from OP07. Oh my god, they just keep finding blockers, folks. Now they're going to swing 6,000 with Carrot, which I will take happily. We get the Lilith trigger. Then we'll take the Nami off of the Lilith trigger that we can use to potentially pop their Rouge next turn. There's something to be said about them not swinging with Carrot that turn. I know they have to get me down to 0 eventually, but at the same time, now I can use our S-Snake's ability again when I attack with her, if I do get the chance to attack with her, because with their leader ability, they might just rest her. We're going to play down the Nami, pop the Rouge. We're going to give 2 Dawn to my leader, and then swing a big 10,000 with our leader into their life. Before I can even do that though, they will concede. I had 3 big swings coming at them. Even if they rest one of my characters or my leader with their leader ability, they didn't have any counter in their hand and they only had 2 blockers up. GG's though, that was actually like a scary matchup for us, just because if they really found some 10 drop Dofis or an 8-cost Usus Captain Kid, I feel like that could have been really rough. Now our next game's against OP13 in Emu. This will be a really interesting matchup. I have no idea who is favored in this matchup. I presume Emu is, just because Emu is going to be one of the tier 1 decks in the meta, but we'll see. You never know. We are going to be on the odd curve, no 1 Dawn play, so we'll just pass it right back to them. It'll be really interesting to play against Emu. I haven't played a ton of games against this leader, so yeah, we'll see. Practice makes perfect, I guess. We're just going to pressure them. We don't really have any great 3 Dawn plays here, so we're going to swing 8,000 with our leader. I want to get them down to 3 life as soon as possible, so our Kikinojo's ability is active, where if they KO the Kikinojo, we get to heal a life. They're going to take that and go down to 3, so that's good news for us. They're going to play down the OP05 Shirahoshi, which I was not expecting this card, but I do think it's being teched in a lot of Emu decks, where they're actually going to be able to make us trash a card from our hand. I don't like that, not at all, but the good thing about that is though that they have to add cards from their trash back to the bottom of their deck, which Emu wants to keep a big trash size, I'm pretty sure. So while that ability is good, I think it does kind of go against what the leader wants to do. We're going to trash the 5-cost Jewelry Bonney from our hand. I think the other cards in our hand are just better right now. Then they're going to play down the Saint Charlos and then swing 5,000 into our life. We will happily take this, and we do get the Nami trigger. We can use this to potentially pop one of their blockers or the Shirahoshi,
I think it makes the most sense to pop a blocker just so that we can continue to pressure their life and be aggressive as possible. I'm going to trash the Nami off of Nami's ability, which I would love to keep another Nami in my hand, but I think the Kikunojo is going to be my 5 Don play, leaving another Don up to give to our leader, of course. We're going to play Kikunojo, give 2 Don with our leader ability, and then an extra Don, and just swing 8,000 into their life, trying to get them down to as little life as possible. I'm going to ignore this Shirahoshi just because we don't have 6 cards in hand, which is the threshold for that Shirahoshi. And then also, even if we do get to 6 cards in hand, I mean, them putting cards at the bottom of their deck from their trash is really, I don't think that's good for them. I have to look more into the Emu matchup and the Emu leader, but I'm pretty sure that's not ideal for them. They're going to be at 6 Don here. They're going to rest their stage. They're going to be able to cheat out a body, and they are going to be able to cheat out Mercury. Mercury has the ability of, if your trash is 7 cards or more, this character could not leave play by your opponent's effects and gains blocker, and then on KO, draw a card. I don't think they have 7 cards in their trash yet, so I don't think he's a blocker just yet, but even if he is, that's not a real big deal to us. They're going to swing 7,000 with their leader into our life. I think we are happy to take this and run the trigger lottery yet again, see what we get. We get a Kikunojo, folks. You gotta love Kikunojo. This is going to be huge for us. I think the plan this turn is to play out Stussy, cheat out another body, and then just swing a bunch with our characters. We can start out with a 6,000 Kikunojo swing into their life. I think we're in such a good spot right now, folks. They'll counter out of the first 6,000 Kikunojo swing. Now I'll swing 6,000 again with our other Kikunojo. Here we are okay, even if these attacks don't hit, just to get cards from their hand. They will use the counter event to get out of that. Now we're going to play out Stussy, cheat out Frankie, and then swing 7,000 with our leader. Frankie's definitely not the ideal card to cheat out off of Stussy, but hey, it's just another swing, which is going to be really helpful for us. They're going to block the 7,000 leader swing, and then I will just pass it right back to them. They are going to start their turn with the 1-cost Searcher event. Off the Searcher event, they'll find Noose Zoro, who's a really strong card. He's going to be able to rush and when attacking give minus 2,000 power to one of our characters. They're going to play them out using stage 4 Don still up. They'll swing 7,000 into one of our Kikunojos, then give minus 2,000 power. Our Stussy blocker, now that is like fine with me. I think they should have minus the Kikunojo if they're swinging into it. I am going to counter out of that attack to keep Kikunojo alive, even though that KO would heal us. I think it's better to keep Kikunojo on the board to pressure their life. They're going to use Shirahoshi's ability to bottom deck a couple cards, but my hand isn't at 6 or more, so I don't have to trash a card. I'm not sure if that was a misplay or if they're just seeing something that I don't know. We're going to play down the 9-cost Jewelry Bonney, make them take the top card of their life, then we'll let the swings begin. We'll start out with our lowest swing, a 5,000 from Frankie, which they will 2k counter out of. They do have 2 Don up, presumably for counter events. I'm debating here if I should swing into their character or their life. I'm going to go with their life. They are going to block and then draw 1 with Mercury. 6,000 now with the Kikunojo into their life. They will use the counter event to gain plus 3,000 power. Now I'm going to swing 7,000 with our leader into their life. They are potentially going to counter out of this. They'll use the counter event to get to 8,000. Now instead of swinging into their life again with our other Jewelry Bonney, I'm going to clear their character here. I could have tried to go for game and swung 7,000 with Stussy into their life and then 10,000 with Jewelry Bonney. In hindsight, I probably should have just done that to potentially go for lethal depending on what counter they have in their hand. But because I'm going to play a 9-cost Jewelry Bonney next turn too, that's going to force them to take the top card of their life anyway. So there was no real point in me putting them down to 0. At least I don't think so. Maybe I should have, just so that I could have maybe swung with higher numbers instead of playing the 9-cost Bonney. Just attach all that down to my characters. They're going to play down the 10-cost 5 Elders card and cheat out a bunch of 5 Elders characters. Oh my god, they just flooded the board like that. They did all that for only 4 Don, which is pretty crazy. I'm not really too stressed about this though. I think we're still in a really good spot. They're going to swing 7,000 into Kikunojo, minus 2,000 power from Frankie. We are going to 2k counter out of that to keep Kikunojo alive. They're going to pass it to me, not swinging with their leader into the minus Frankie, which I imagine they would have had the Don to spare if they just gave 2,000 or 2 Don to their leader, then swung into Frankie. Instead, they're going to be punished. We're going to swing 5,000 with Frankie into their life. They're going to counter out of that. I wonder if they have a lot of counter events in hand because they left a ton of Don up, or maybe they're just kind of waving the white flag. It's probably unnecessary, but I'm going to play out the 9-cost Jewelry Bonney, and then I am just going to start swinging with all my characters. They had to take the top card of their life. They're down to 0 life. We're going to start off with a 6,000 power Kikunojo swing. They'll block that one. Now I'm going to swing again with Kikunojo. That one will be blocked as well. Now a 10,000 power Jewelry Bonney swing, and they will lose that one. GG's. That is an interesting matchup. Emu's such a weird deck, a really strong deck for sure, but I think it's going to take a lot of people a lot of time to really truly master. Our last game of the day is going to be against a Gol D Roger. It'll be interesting to see how this one shakes up. Gol D Roger, a 7,000 power base leader, but of course his effect makes him basically a 5,000 power leader for a lot of the game. We are on the odd curve, and for one Don, we do have the Lilith Searcher. Off the Lilith Searcher, I'm debating between the 5-cost S-Snake and the 4-cost S-Snake. Both are pretty good options. I'm going to go with the 5-cost S-Snake though, and then pass it to them. 2 Don for them to work with here. They will have the Shank Searcher and find the Gaban and pass it right back to us. We don't have an amazing 3 Don play, but we do have the 1-cost Lilith Searcher again that we can play out. I'm tempted to take the 5-cost Boa here, but I think the Frankies are better choice just because we don't have a lot of counter in our hand, and we will definitely need some as we move forward in the game. I'm just going to do 2 5,000 power swings right now. First up with the Lilith, and then we'll swing 5,000 with our leader. They did take that first swing. Now a second swing comes in. They will 1k counter out of that. They're going to have 3 Don to work with here. They'll start off by clearing our Lilith with their Shanks. Fine with me, RIP Lilith. Now a 6,000 power swing into our life. We take that. Unfortunately, we can't play the 3-cost Lilith trigger, and then they're going to play out the Douglas Bullet and pass it back to us. We have 5 Don to work with here. We could go either with the 5-cost Nami or the 5-cost Boa. I think both of those would be pretty good choices. I'm going to go with the 5-cost Boa though, trashing the Lilith from our hand and preventing their leader from attacking next turn. Then I'm going to be able to give 2 Don to our leader. I'm going to start off then by clearing the Shanks with our Lilith Searcher and then swing 7,000 with our leader, which they will take as well. They're going to go up to 7 Don. They have to attach one, so they have 6 Don to work with. We might see the Gaban. It'll be interesting, no doubt though. Yes, they'll play down the Gaban. They're able to draw 2 cards and then rest a Don, I believe, or set a Don as rested. They'll trash the Bonclay from their hand. 6,000 with Douglas Bullet into our life. Again, I am tempted to take this and see what we can get off the trigger lottery. Unfortunately, Blaze Slice does not really do much for us right now, so can't activate that trigger. Now we're going to be at 7 Don. Man, I wish we had a Stussy to play. That would really help us out right now. Unfortunately, we do not, which is kind of bad news for us. We could pop the Douglas Bullet with the Nami. We could freeze the Douglas Bullet with an S-Snake. Those are really our only 2 plays here, and then just swinging big with our 5-cost Boa and our leader. This definitely doesn't feel ideal though. We're going to go with the S-Snake, prevent their Douglas Bullet from attacking next turn. Then we're just going to swing 2 8,000 power swings. First up with our Boa Hancock into their life. They will take that. And then I might just swing 7,000 with our leader, potentially leaving 1 Don up for Blaze Slice. No, I don't need to leave a Don up for Blaze Slice. I'd rather keep that for a potential late game blocker. I'm going to swing 8,000 now, and they will take that as well. Oh my god, look how many cards they have in their hand, folks. I did get them down to 1 life, but yeah, it's going to be hard to kill them when they have that many cards in hand. They are going to swing into us, and we are going to take that. We're going to get the Nami trigger, which we can use to pop their Douglas Bullet. That is a lucky trigger for us. Then they're going to have the 8-cost promo Roger. We have to take that swing as well, or I guess we could have countered out of it. Maybe we should have. We did get lucky with the Kikunojo trigger though, but it's going to be hard to kill them when they're a 9,000 power base leader. This is really bad news, folks. No blockers to play out, so I feel like we are kind of forced to go for game here. We'll play out the 9-cost Jewelry Bonney, making them take the top card of their life and add it to their hand. Off of leader ability, I'm going to give 2 Don to Kikunojo, but that was definitely a misplay because, of course, they are a 9,000 powered leader. I guess giving to the Kikunojo was going to also be used to swing into that Gaban if they protected it, but they chose not to. The swing into Roger does not go through with Kikunojo. The swing with Bonney definitely doesn't go through. They have so many cards in hand. Now, depending on how they order this turn, there is a chance we do survive because we do have a lot of counter in our hand. 3 2Ks and a 1K is definitely solid. If they have another 8 cost Roger though, this could be bad news. They're going to swing 11,000 into our life. We do get the Nico Robin trigger, which we can't do really anything with, but at least she's a 1K counter depending on how they split their Don. And yeah, they're just going all in, and unfortunately I cannot do anything about this, folks. We are going to be able to get up to 13,000, can't get quite there. GG's though, oh my god, look at their hand. They had counter for days. I don't think there was any chance I was going to win that one, folks. GG's though, that was a fun one.
Ladies and gentlemen, those are the games I got for you today. What did you think about them? I'm loving this leader. I said it once, I'm going to say it twice, folks. If you're interested in more Yellow Bonney content, hit that subscribe button down below because there's definitely going to be more on the way. I plan to do a lot of videos on her just because I think it's a fun leader that is not quite tier 1, tier 0, but still pretty strong, and I think people might want to see content on her. I don't know. You can let me know if you do in the comments down below. I'll definitely hear you out. If you made it this far in the video, you're an absolute real one. Shout out to you. Consider hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already. And with that being said, folks, have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace.